Tribes, for the whole of January, we are inviting you to get into the property groove for 2017, and we're creating content to inspire and motivate and help you have a very successful landlord year. And joining me now is Richard from London Property Licensing. And Richard, I think you're a great person to talk to about what's happening for landlords on the regulation front, because 2017 is going to see more of it.
It's going to be a really busy year, I think, for landlords and for letting agents. So we've got a huge amount on the agenda. Under the Housing and Planning Act, we've got talk of banning orders for rogue and criminal landlords and agents, a rogue landlord database. We've got new powers bringing in rent repayment orders that will apply in a greater range of circumstances. Underlying all of these, we've got proposals by government to extend mandatory HMO licensing, which we may see perhaps in the spring, but more likely the autumn of next year. So huge amount that landlords need to start preparing for.
Indeed, and you know, Property Tribes is one such resource where landlords can get educated, but very important for landlords to get multiple inputs, not just rely on one singularity. It's much healthier to go around the web and take bits and pieces, and your site is a resource as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the London Property Licensing website was set up in April of 2015. It's grown into a really popular resource now with real serious online content on property licensing schemes across every London borough, but also generic information on housing regulation for landlords wherever they are in the country. But also go to the local authority, have a look on their website. There's a huge amount of information out there. Landlords just need to look.
Yeah, indeed. And you know, landlords, when they see regulation, it is frustrating for us because the good guys, we continue to adopt the regulation and you know, be compliant with it. But then the rogue landlords stay under the radar, and I'm sure you would agree with me that what would be great to see in 2017 is a lot more enforcement against the rogues.
I think it's absolutely critical. I'm an environmental health officer myself. Within local authorities, we've already got a huge amount of powers to deal with rogue landlords, letting unsafe accommodation, put their tenants at risk. The issue is making use of those powers. More powers in themselves aren't going to solve the problem. Local authorities really need to step up to the mark. Within that, I'd say there's a number of councils do some fantastic work, using all their enforcement skills that are having a real impact. And I think the arrival of banning orders next year, which for the first time will enable a local authority to apply to have someone banned from operating either as a landlord or a letting agent. For the very worst offenders, that's probably the only solution in the long term. But we've also got some local authorities doing next to no enforcement. And I think we do need to start to look at how we can drive that up.
Yeah, indeed. So what would be your sort of number one bit of advice for landlords to have a successful, profitable and I guess compliant 2017?
Well, I think make sure they understand the rules that apply to their rented accommodation, particularly if they start drifting in towards multiple occupied accommodation. A lot of people I find don't realise what the legal definition of an HMO is. So as soon as they start letting out a property to 3 or more people, not all related, sharing a property, they're into HMO territory, and there are new rules and regulations apply about how they manage the property, possibly licensing requirements, more regular electrical safety checks, etc., etc. So really important to seek advice.
And we're so glad to have Richard as part of the Property Tribes community because you're a wonderful contributor. You share very up-to-date information. And if you have any questions on the topics that we've been covering in this interview, then it's great that Richard's on hand to help. So you've seen him now on the video, and you'll see him on Property Tribes answering questions and supporting landlords.